Hello everybody, welcome to Milo e-learning. Today we are going to learn about verbs. Now, before we move on to learning about verbs, let me explain to you what a sentence is made up of. Now, there are two parts of a sentence. We have the subject and the predicate. Now, the subject basically refers to who you are talking about or what the sentence refers to. Now, for example, it could be the name of a person, a place, or a building. Now, on the other hand, the predicate is basically the rest of the sentence. So, for example, we could say it tells us what the subject does. The predicate also includes the verbs, the nouns, prepositions, articles, adjectives, and the object. So, today we're just going to focus on verbs because it's important to know about verbs because verbs basically tell you what the subject is doing. Okay, so a verb basically is a doing word. It basically means it is an action performed by the subject. For example, he ran, she played, they ate. So we could see the subject here is he, she, and they, whereas the verb is ran, played, and ate. Now you could see that there are two different types of verbs here. You get a regular verb that ended in ed, and then you get an irregular verb, which is ate. Now, let's see. We could say, well, I just told you that. Now, the regular verb are verbs that follow a predictable pattern when forming the past tense. That is basically you are adding an ed to at the end of the verb. Now, we have, for example, play, and play becomes played. So this is quite straightforward and simple. You just take the base word and you add an ed to the end. Whereas irregular verbs, now these irregular verbs do not follow the standard ed pattern for the past tense. They form a unique form and they need to be memorized. Memorized means that you have to learn them. Now, some examples of irregular verbs are, now let's look at these base words. For be, in a simple past tense, it would change to, if it was a singular, was, if it's plural, were, or it could change in the past participle to been. Then we have the base word begin. In a simple past tense, began, and the past participle begun. We have bite changes to bit or bitten. Choose changes to chose or chosen. Do changes to did or done. Now let's look at some sentences where we used irregular verbs. Now we could say, I swam a whole mile during my last swimming lesson. Or you could say, she grew sunflowers in her garden. Or he sang in the school talent show. Or he rode on the roller coaster. So you could see these irregular verbs, the verbs changed completely, the spelling of it. Right, let's explore some verbs ending in ing that are commonly used. So these verbs are basically actions that are ongoing. So ongoing means that it is currently happening. So we have swim changes to swimming, run changes to running, walk changes to walking, drink changes to drinking. So what we basically did is we added an ing, except for swimming. For swim, we put two m's and an ing. For run, it was two n's and an ing. But walk and drinking just had an ing. Now, remember that the ing form the action that is happening now It is ongoing, and it is an essential part of language and communication. Now, there are two different types. For example, where we have write. Now, if you look here, it is W-R-I-T-E, how you spelled right. Now, what we have to do is, because it ends with an E, and E is a vowel, we have to scratch out the E and add an ing. And another example would be have. Now, this is a common mistake I've always seen. Lots of children spell it as Havering. Now, we can't have two vowels next to each other. So you have to scratch out the E and simply add an ing. So if you want to write the rule down, remember that verb ending with vowels, you must remove the last vowel and add an ing. I hope you enjoyed my lesson. I'll see you in my next video. Have a lovely day, everyone. Bye.